Hey guys, Ron here, and welcome to our video number 4 in our series of 7. That's right, 7 big issues, big problems that home buyers have when it comes to building a house that really make that process from their standpoint pretty much broken. And how you can step into that process as a realtor and really begin to add some value and explode your business in residential new construction. Listen, there's so much opportunity, but we got to step up our game. So today, I want to share with you probably one of the most controversial of any of these ideas that we're talking about, because there is a wide view of what we're about to discuss here. You know, the first video we talked about how nobody can find a lot of the neighborhoods, that about half of the neighborhoods not findable. That's not too controversial. Every place we go, people are like, yep, that happens here too. But we're changing it, by the way. I'll talk to you about that at the end. And how you can't find so many of the builders. And today I was on the phone with builders, different parts of the country, same story, you know. Doesn't matter how long they've been in the business, a lot of people don't know what they're doing and what they're building, and that they're fine builders. And so these are really big opportunities for you to step into this and provide value. The third one that we talked about is that the realtor can't find you. You know, that there's so few realtors who actually specialize in new construction that it just is very frustrating from a buyer's standpoint to find somebody who really is knowledgeable and passionate about home building. But we're changing that, right? Right, I saw you nod. So video number 4, this is the one that I call Realtor R&R, for lack of a better name for it. And no, I am not talking about the fact of your much needed rest and relaxation, okay? And I'm not talking about rinse and repeat either. That's not the R&R. The R&R that I'm talking about is realtors registering a buyer with a builder, put them on the schedule, and then retreat or run away, and not really, you know, making yourself so scarce that maybe you don't show up until, you know, closing day or a couple days before. Hey, good to see you, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Good to see you, John the Builder. Let's get this thing done. And neither one of those things, that's not really the right way to do it. I almost had an English accent that popped out there for a second, but it's not the right way. And so the interesting thing about it is that there's such a wide variety of the way that we should handle this, the opinions on it, okay? Because there are some trainers out there that will tell you that is exactly what you should do. You take your client, you hand off your client to the builder, now it's their client, and you just go away and show up at the closing table to get your check. And so there are trainers that's kind of what they teach, you know. And there are builders, and I think they tend to, the bigger they get, when you get into the really big production builders, they kind of prefer that too sometimes. So you just make yourself scarce, and we'll see you at closing table to collect your check. But I don't believe that's the right thing to do, okay? Because you have a responsibility still until closing, and you want to maintain a relationship with the buyer. You are a fiduciary to the buyer. Yes, now you're representing a builder, and you're representing the buyer, and your goal now is to become an intermediary and to create a win-win-win. And I do mean all three of those. I mean a win on the buyer's side, the win on the builder's side, and the win on your side. All three of you count as part of this process, and you need to recognize that. So it's interesting because, you know, you do have people that are saying, hey, just make yourself scarce. And then on the other side of it, you got realtors that try to make themselves so involved that they're kind of jamming up the process. And, you know, you don't want to do that either. You don't want to get to where you're clogging up the process, or you're creating problems, creating issues, bringing up questions when there's really not a question on the buyer's mind. they're just happy with, getting the home built, and they're okay with those cabinets or that carpet or whatever. So interesting. It's kind of a fine line that you need to walk here. And so, what's the answer on this? Well, number one, you're representing the buyer and you're representing the builder. Now, this is going to vary from builder to builder to builder, depending on especially the size of the builder. In a smaller builder, they want your help. They need your help, and they want you to be there and be a part of that process and make sure that it's a smooth process for everybody. As you get a little bit bigger with the builders, when they become more of a builder developer, maybe they start to have some marketing people or a salesperson or somebody that's managing their model home. And so they've got a little bit bigger team, but you still need to stay involved. And when you get to the big production builders, now they've got a whole team, and they kind of would like it sometimes if you would just, make yourself scarce and again, show up at the closing table. But so what's the answer here? Well, on how involved I should be through that process once I've introduced the buyer to the builder. And I don't know that I've got a perfect answer for this, okay, because it does vary case by case by case. But here's a couple things, 3 things to keep in mind, and a way to pretty much wipe out all the problems or nearly all the problems before they ever occur. So number one, the buyer is still your client. You are a fiduciary. I would write that down and remember that you are a fiduciary to that buyer. So you want to maintain that relationship with them all the way through the transaction, and of course way afterwards, because you want the referrals, you want to build the relationship, and you want them being a part of your sphere of influence. So stay an intermediary. Secondly, you want to create a mutual win, and I've already talked about that, but it needs to be a win not just for them, but also for the builder. And sometimes, there are realtors come in that they're trying to negotiate so heavily, so strong on behalf of the buyer that they're about to, kill the builder, and the builder's, just ready to walk off the job. I've seen it happen, okay, a lot of times where the builder's just like, I don't know how to deal with this. The buyers are really cool. I like them. But the realtor is trying to strong arm this situation so much that it's making it untenable. And so you don't want to be untenable, right? You want to be an intermediary. And the third thing is don't create complexity where there's not already. Okay, if it's not an issue, if it's not a problem on the part of the buyer, don't make it a problem. And also, if the buyer is being unrealistic on their expectations, just like with anybody else, you have to take charge of that and let them know that, hey, that's not really the way this works. That can't happen, because sometimes they think that, they're going to save so much money, or they're going to go, you're going to negotiate so much off this house for them. But it's just sometimes they have expectations that aren't realistic. So you want to set their expectations appropriately early in the process. Now, one of the big things that you can do is, early in the process, what I call pre-framing. And it's basically, you want to establish your relationships with the builders and the various people on their team early before anything ever gets started. And so the way to do that is now, right? Before you ever walk in with the buyer, is to go get to know them. Get to know the builder, get to know the salespeople, get to know the marketing if you can, but in the sales and marketing managers, and become an outsourced extension of their program, of their team. Now, when you do this, it eliminates so many problems that never ever occur, because they realize and they know, if you're establishing a rapport and relationship with them, that you're on their side too. You're not just on the buyer's side, you're on their side. You are there to create a smooth transaction, to be an intermediary, to create the win-win. And so really what we're doing is we're replacing the register and run away, or register and retreat, with relationship and rapport. Relate and rapport. Go get to know them. And I'm telling you that when you do this, you eliminate nearly all problems. Now, they always come up when you're building a house or any real estate transaction practically, right? So, but you eliminate so many problems if you set the expectations with the buyers and you build the rapport with the builder and their team. And the dividends that you will experience from that are massive. I'm not kidding. I mean it. You know, they're massive, and we can't even go into all of them. But the stories that I hear from other realtors around the country, when they do this, when they go out and they really begin to build the rapport that they need to be building with the builder and get this relationship in place before they ever start bringing in the buyers, massive wins. You'll end up with more listings, you'll end up with more buyers, you'll end up with more leads, you'll end up with more referrals. There's a lot of ways that you can win by becoming an extension of their program. Does that mean you throw the buyer off the bridge, throw them under the bus and, hey, I'm just here to make sure that the builder wins? No. You're an intermediary that is creating communication, and you're there to learn, and you're there to complete the process. So learn, communicate, complete. And that is all I have for you on this video. Now, if you have ideas on this that, some of you realtors, if you've got experience with it, I would love to have you chime in, would love to get your thoughts on it. And it's an important topic because a lot of times buyers feel like they're not being represented when they're just dropped off. Okay, and so we have to do that. Now, somebody expressed to me the other day, and so I need to back up and tell you guys, because I'm not talking about on these videos at all. I'm not telling you about Hoodle. And if you have not seen Hoodle, you really ought to go see the Hoodle website. I'm the founder of a company and a web platform called Hoodle that is kind of it's a web platform for the home building process across the United States, where what we are doing is we're bringing together all of the professionals in market by market that the buyers need to be able to access to make the right choices, find their options, and get a home built. We're streamlining the process of building a new home for the buyer, and we're involving the builders, the land developers, the neighborhoods, the realtors, Next Up Mortgage, and others. And I'm telling you, it is cool, and it is massively powerful. And I just heard another story in the last couple of days here, but we're getting stories back from builders, from realtors, from different people who are members of the Hoodle website, saying, hey, this allowed me to go get a listing, it allowed me to build this relationship. And so I want you to be a part of it. And the only reason I bring it up is because in the videos, I have not been mentioning it, and somebody said, you really should tell people about Hoodle. So I'm telling you, it's at hoodle.com, and HOODLE.com. Now, one other thing I want to mention to you, if you haven't already, you ought to grab the ebook, the 7 ways that new home building is broken for buyers and how you can explode your business. You can find that at newhomeniche.com, newhomenicheblueprint.com, sorry, newhomenicheblueprint.com. And you can download that, and you can also find out about a little class that we've started and just recently launched. I've had a lot of people that are going through the class that are saying, hey, this is gold. And I hope that it is, because I really put my heart into it. We study, and we want to present you guys some really, really helpful information. And so would love for you to check that out and get value from it. And ultimately, would love for you to become part of the Hoodle community and become an affiliate realtor with us, because that's where the action is happening, baby. So anyway, this is Ron, and thank you so much for listening to this video. It's actually longer than I thought it was going to be. But God bless you guys, man. I hope you're having a fantastic week, and I look forward to talking to you again. And next week, we'll be talking about video number 5, and I'm not even going to tell you the topic right now, but it's the 5th big reason why home building is broken for buyers and how you can explode your business by fixing it. So we'll talk to you later. Take care.